What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Fantasy Dads Wildcard Wednesday with your boy Ryno. Hope everybody's having a great week so far. Football is tomorrow. Very, very close. What up, Moose? Welcome to the chat, bro. Hope you're having a great night, man. But we got some interesting topics to talk about tonight. Really quick little show, nothing crazy. We try to do this every Wednesday and Monday because, I figured why not, right? I used to stream every night almost, so I might as well try to do like a little half-hour show about football. So if you are in chat, make sure you guys hit that like button for us. Make sure you comment, say hello, let us know you're here. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, wherever there's social media. The Fantasy Dads are on there. We're almost at 1,000 followers on TikTok, which is nuts. We're at 974, I think, right now, which is pretty crazy. I remember when we had barely 100 followers, now we got 972. So make sure you guys are following us over there and liking our stuff and commenting and sharing our content with your league mates and your friends that enjoy football, because it's not always all about fantasy either with our content. So make sure you guys check it out. But I'm going to go over some just recent news that may have happened since yesterday's show with Moose and Smirks. And we'll start off with T. Higgins. He got ruled out, which is actually pretty big news, playing the Jaguars, which is a great matchup for him. It's going to kind of close the door, though. Higgins is the second week out already. I was nervous about his injury history and hoping it wouldn't carry into the season, but already out 2 games. It's going to close the door on his ceiling of a wide receiver 1 in my eyes. Definitely still a great piece to have on your team. Definitely let him sit there on your bench while he heals, but I just don't think he has that ceiling anymore. I think Jamar Chase has stepped in very well as the wide receiver 1 for the Bengals, and definitely going to be taking that role on more predominantly with Joe Burrow as his old college quarterback as well. So I wouldn't be nervous about T. Higgins. Still think he's going to produce just fine for you. I just don't think he's going to have that ceiling anymore that we all hoped he might have this season. Rashad Bataman was activated today for the Baltimore Ravens, another receiver. This one's a rookie. Very, 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 very prized in the draft this year. Very excited to see him on the field. May help out the Ravens' pass game, as it looked like it kind of struggled a little bit last week against the Lions. Gonna provide Lamar another weapon to use. Definitely go get him if he's available. Go out there, get him, buy him low if you can off of somebody. I think he's gonna be a valuable asset to your team in fantasy football this year. Hollywood Brown showed some really bad cases of drops this past weekend, so Rashad Bateman should step right into that wide receiver 2 for the team and potentially take over that wide receiver 1 role if Hollywood Brown continues to struggle. James White, pending some more x-rays, he is basically ruled out for the rest of the year. It doesn't really do too much for me. Stock-wise, I'm not sure that I'm going to be buying any of the Patriot running backs at the moment, even Damien Harris, who we'll talk about later in the show. Definitely still nervous about ordering a Patriot running back right now. A guy to keep your eye on is J.J. Taylor. Very highly touted out of training camp. He looked very explosive in preseason games, and even last year in his quick, show. I think he was out there for a game. He saw a bulk work in the pass game. Definitely somebody to keep your eye on if he potentially beats out Brandon Bolden, as we saw last week. He's not the guy to have. He's not very good at all. So right now, Bolden's the guy. If you really need somebody, he's probably going to be the guy this week against Tampa. But J.J. Taylor's definitely got to keep your eye on. Josh Gordon signed with the Chiefs, as Moose and Smirks mentioned last night. I just wanted to give my little side piece to it. I don't think he's worth anything in my eyes. He has to show me. I hope you guys didn't waste your waiver on him. A couple leagues he actually made it through waivers, was able to pick him up. He's just a name. Remember, guy can't make it through 5 games without getting suspended. Just remember that, and it's not like he's going to bounce back. 30 years old. He comes out here and he proves me wrong. That's great, but I really do not see that happening whatsoever. So Josh Gordon, he's back, but for how long? Also, Marlon Mack is seeking a trade. I believe they agreed upon a deal to allow him to go look for a team that would take him on in a trade. So that's definitely another thing to keep your eye on. Marlon Mack is definitely worth a bench stash at the moment. There are a lot of teams out there that could use a running back, including New England, that might scoop him up in a trade. But that's pretty much it for not breaking news, but news that you might want to. And Gerald Everett was out on the COVID list. There you go. Moose comes in with an update for me. So Everett is out. A lot of people were using him as a tight end fill, waiting on tight ends this year in the draft. He only had one decent week anyway, so hopefully he moved on by now from him. With plenty of other tight ends out there that do the same thing he does and scored single-digit points. But anyway, we'll move on to the next thing, and there's a new little segment I'm going to do. It's called the Panic Meter. On Monday and Wednesdays, I'm going to do a Panic Meter, and right now we're going to do running back edition, and then we got a couple of receivers we're going to talk about as well. We're going to start off with Myles Gaskin of Miami. Panic Meter is at an 8 right now out of 10, which is very high. I was a big Gaskin believer when he was a rookie out of Kansas State. I loved the dude. He's got talent, but however, this year he looks like he's just not doing it. It doesn't look like he can handle the workload of an RB1 on the Dolphins. He still has that pass-catching value, though, so you got to hold on to him. You can't get rid of him. If you can trade him, I might look into that, maybe replace him with another running back that has a higher ceiling, or a team that's just desperate for running backs could pluck a receiver off their team. But the game scripts are just not in the favor for Myles Gaskin right now. He's already splitting carries with Malcolm Brown. This team can't really play offense very well without Tua. So they're running the clock, and unfortunately that means he's splitting time with Malcolm Brown, who does look like the better runner at the end of the day. And he's already starting to see Vulture in the red zone when he has the opportunity to. So Myles Gaskin, definitely nervous about, definitely a sell for me if possible, not producing like we hoped. Next we got Damien Harris. I put a 4 on my thing here, but I think as I think about it more, I'm gonna boost it up right now to a 6. The only reason why is that he has no competition. So that's why I'm not really too concerned about Damien Harris. He's going to be the RB1 for New England. So don't be crazy freaked out. I still think he's got flex value. Definitely not RB2 anymore, though. He's been outsnapped 2 weeks in a row by James White and now by Brandon Bolden, who even entered in the game late. So it wasn't looking good for Damien Harris. Even last week when White was healthy, it just doesn't look good. Those game scripts are just not going to be in the favor for Damien Harris moving forward. The New England Patriots do not look like they can produce on offense with Mac Jones at quarterback. They're struggling very hard. Every position player is struggling besides Jacoby Myers. So I would keep your eye on Damien Harris. Be a little nervous. Potential sell if you can before he drops even lower on the even goes up even higher on the panic meter. Next you got Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor made it into Smirks' TikTok about players that are struggling right now. And you can see why. However, I'm only giving him a 2. And that's because Marlon Mack's on the trade block, and that would be the only person to be concerned about. Yes, Nyheim Hines has outsnapped Jonathan Taylor. Well, just last week he did. And it was 56 to 48%, and that's because of game script. Now, Nyheim Hines has a predominant role on the offense already. Jonathan Taylor does as well. He is the early down back. Now, if those game scripts continue to go in that direction, my panicking would definitely skyrocket. However, as of right now, I'm only at a 2. I think you could probably potentially buy him very low, and he could actually work out for you at the end of the day. So don't be freaked out too much on Jonathan Taylor. He is a stud. We all know what he can do. But that's all I got for running backs. And then I got 2 receivers I wanted to talk about real quick. I wasn't going to do them, but then I was like, you know what? I might as well keep talking about them. And that's Stefan Diggs. My meter is at a 1. Listen, Stefan Diggs is a stud, okay? He's going to be just fine. That offense is going to score. And eventually you're going to see a turnout of Stefan Diggs of getting that 10-catch, 120-yard game with 3 touchdowns kind of thing. It's going to happen. Don't worry. It's only week 3. He's a superstar. He's much different than your Robert Woods or somebody else that's not producing right now. I can't really think of some names. But Stefan Diggs, don't worry too much. Buy low if you can, but he's still seeing plenty of targets. Lack of production, yes, but the targets are there. I believe even last week he sourced 13 targets, so I wouldn't really seem too concerned. So the next is Tyreque Hill. Tyreque Hill, my meter's a little higher, and that's because the Chiefs' offense is not scaring me, but fantasy it's scaring me. Tyreque Hill is clearly the only option that he has down the field as like a true threat at receiver. Demarcus Robinson, Byron Pringle, Mecole Hardman, they just don't have it. They don't have the stuff to take on coverage or they don't have that Sammy Watkins swag. Like the defenses aren't gonna stop covering them. You know what I mean? Like Tyreque Hill is the focal point. Travis Kelce too, obviously, but he gets coverage from different players. Like the receiver corners and stuff, they shine to the side of the field, and shadowing him deep, and it's just. He makes me nervous. I'm more nervous about him than I am Stefan Diggs. However, he is still obviously a top 5 receiver in the NFL. Beginning of the year, he might have been the best, but with the production, not being there right now, and the targets really low after week 1. He saw 15 week 1. We're like, oh, nice. It's going to be a whole nother Tyrique Patrick Mahomes year. The past 2 weeks, he saw 4 and 7 targets. Definitely worrisome. Hopefully, Josh Gordon. I don't know. You guys are believers. I'm not. I don't think this is going to happen. That's why my panic meter is at a 5. But Josh Gordon, hopefully, he provides some depth at receiver that can take away those shadows and provide Tyrique Hill with more valuable targets over the middle and down the field. That does it for that. Nice little thing there. Nice little segment, Panic Edition. If you're in chat, make sure you guys hit that like button for me. All right, another one I got. Another little segment. It's called Wait, Don't Drop the. I'm going to make little sound bits for these. Don't worry. Little sound bits. But I got 2 guys. And I know that Smirks and I know that Moose probably will not agree with these 2 guys. But these are 2 players who I not necessarily don't like. If you can pick up somebody that is obviously far superior than these 2, you do it. But if you're just dropping people to pick up upside, or you're dropping people to pick up potential down the line players for your team, Quintez Cephas. Oh my God. He saw a lack of targets this past week. He saw 1 target after seeing a massive amounts of targets the first 2 weeks of 8. I think 8 and 6. Not massive, but that's great for a very bad Detroit Lions team, sparking some very, very nice athletic catches in week 2. I don't think you drop Quintez Cephas just yet. I think you got to wait. Now, if you're dropping him because you need a starter and you need somebody to play, then yes, okay, I understand. But if he's just going to be a drop because you want to add, I don't know, Demarcus Robinson from the Chiefs because you want a guy who's going to be on the field, like Quintez Cephas is on the field. Like, he's going to see the targets. It's going to work in his favor eventually. He's going to be a matchup play. Quintez Cephas is someone you should definitely keep on your bench. The Lions don't really have anybody, man. They don't. Khalif Raymond, I know he saw 10 targets this past week. He's not good. Let's get that out of our heads. Tyrell Williams can't stay healthy. The rookie Amon St. Brown, he ain't really doing it for me. So Quintez Cephas is definitely the most athletic downfield receiver they have. I definitely would hold on to him. If you did get a piece of him after the week 2 blow-up game that he had, I would not rush to drop him. Next, I got Geno Smith. I know he had a rough week, and he's been having a lot of rough weeks. But like I said before with Stefan Diggs, it's only week 3. Geno Smith is a superstar tight end. Let's get that straight. The kid's a freak. Guy's a freak athlete. Produced in Tennessee with a Ryan Tannehill, who I'm not a believer in, so I don't think he's that great, but produced very well in that offense. Eventually, it's going to click. He's working with a rookie receiver right now. The timing's off. You can see it in the routes. Eventually, it's going to work, okay? Eventually, Geno Smith is going to be producing tight end win numbers. It's not somebody I would suggest to drop. So, I would hold. I would hold on Geno if you can. Obviously, tight ends are just a weak position, so you might not be able to hold 2 on your team. If you have someone to replace him, like a Tyler Conklin or Pat Freiermuth or something like that. But Geno is definitely a guy you want to keep on your bench if possible. Do not drop him. The blossom will happen. It'll happen, and you guys will be very excited when it does because he, like I said, he is a superstar tight end. That is 100. You can quote me on that if you'd like, if you are watching. But Geno Smith is by far the best tight end they have. I know Hunter Henry looks good. He's starting to get more looks, but Geno Smith is definitely the best weapon that they have in that tight end package. So keep Geno. And also they have no receivers, bro. Kendrick Bourne, Nelson Aguilar, but Troy Myers is great. But the other, it's just not working. And Mac Jones is definitely an issue with that. The game scripts are going to be there though for the passing game. So over time, eventually they'll build the chemistry. Geno Smith and Mac will eventually click, and it'll work out for you. You can trust me on that. I promise. No, I could tell you though, Geno Smith, if you got a guy that you just picked off waivers that you're not necessarily going to play, and the guy who has Geno needs him, it ain't a bad call. Like I'm saying, Geno is definitely someone you want to have on your bench moving forward. Okay. So, I know a lot of you guys probably did fab. You probably did, your waiver claims and stuff. Chuba Hubbard was a popping topic, and Tim Patrick was somebody that people were trying to go after. Tyler Conklin, the tight end that people were dying over, thirsting over. Kirk Cousins, Derek Carr. Tons of players that went off the board. I was surfing through my leagues and just looking at available free agents that are still out there and picking some guys that might be able to help you still if you somehow missed out on some of these other guys that got picked up this week. And I'm going to start off with Kenneth Gainwell from the Philadelphia Eagles. I know the Eagles looked really bad this past week against the Dallas Cowboys. However, However, that defense isn't always going to be good. It's going to be bad more often than it is good. So Kenneth Gainwell is going to have a game script where he's out there. Even if Miles Sanders is on the field with him, Kenneth Gainwell has shown that he is the best pass catching back. I know he's not getting the volume that the best pass catching back would get, but when he is given the opportunity, he looks phenomenal. He's quicker than Miles Sanders, that's for sure. I just think the game scripts are going to be in more favor to Kenneth Gainwell, as well as Miles Sanders' history with just getting banged up and having to sit weeks out here and there to stay healthy for potential playoff runs and stuff like that. Kenneth Gainwell is definitely a guy you want on your bench. I think he's one of the more higher volume handcuffs out there right now. You probably put him in the same category as the Tony Pollard. Well, actually, he's not even really a handcuff anymore. Tony Jones Jr., perfect example. You probably put him in the same range as him, or Alex Collins from Seattle. Like they all have guys ahead of them that potentially could get banged up down the line. The guy I'm about to talk about next is another guy. Perfect example. Those high volume handcuffs could end up winning you weeks and getting you into playoffs and potentially winning you the league down the line if their winning team is in the playoffs and they want to rest their running back because they are very fragile nowadays. So Kenneth Gainwell is definitely a guy you would want to handcuff, especially if you have Miles Sanders. He's available in about 60% of leagues right now across the board. So definitely go look for his name if you missed out on a running back that you were going for. Next, I got Dalton Schultz. Loved him as a rookie. One of the guys that I definitely talked about a lot last year when Blake Jarwin went down with his knee injury. He stepped up great, produced very well last year. He was I would say bottom tier tight end 1 last year when he was on the field for a good amount of time before the Dak injury. And then he had a couple weeks where he was kind of iffy because the quarterback play just wasn't there. But right now that offense is explosive. Dalton Schultz is clearly the tight end option for Dak Prescott. Blake Jarwin's just not doing it. He's seen 6, 2, and 5 targets the past 3 weeks. 2 of the 3 is +5+ targets. And to me, that's great. They have so much talent. They have so much talent across the board at receiver and running back. I would definitely consider adding Dalton Schultz as your tight end 1 option if you missed out on Tyler Conklin, or if you wanted the kid from Pittsburgh, which I don't know why you would. We're high on him coming into the season, but Big Ben looks terrible. So I would go with Dalton Schultz instead. He's available in about 80% of the league still, even after waivers. So that's kind of crazy to me. So next I got Peyton Barber. Okay, so last week on the show on Sunday, I sat here and I said that Peyton Bobber was a startable piece this week as an RB2 and a floor of a flex play. So, and he showed up. He showed up as an RB1. I think he was number 12 on the week, or he might have been even higher than that. He had 24 points, which is nuts. People just didn't believe in him, but it's clear that Peyton Barber is the handcuff to Josh Jacobs. He was the other high volume asset that I was talking about when I was talking about Kenneth Gainwell. Now, if you're in a very competitive league, he's probably picked up already. Peyton Barber, running backs are so valuable in fantasy football. So it's only if he's there. If he's there, you got to pick him up. You got to have him. If Josh Jacobs sits another week, he's an RB2 again. Regardless of the matchup, he's getting the volume, he's getting the looks, he's getting the touches. 23 and 13 attempts when Jacobs is out. Drake is there, yes, but he's obviously not the backup to Jacobs. Jacobs is like they have their own roles. Like you got Drake and then you got Jacobs, and Jacobs is a backup and Drake is a backup. You get what I'm saying? So when Jacobs gets hurt, it's Peyton Barber. Peyton Barber moves into Jacobs' seat. He gets the Jacobs volume, and then Drake does what he does anyway. So that's why I would add Peyton Barber. And if you're a Jacobs owner, I'm sorry. I tried to warn you. He's just not going to do it this year. They signed Kenyon Drake for a reason, and Peyton Barber now. So I'd be concerned if you were Jacobs. I was going to do him in the panic meter, but I was like, it's kind of obvious. He's been hurt for 2 weeks already hurt, and that's not good, especially because he was banged up a little bit last year. It's not good. But Peyton Barber is definitely a guy you want to have on your squad. And another guy I want to talk about real quick is Brandon Bolden. I know I was just talking about how I'm not, it's not somebody you want. However, with running backs being so crappy and there's just not a lot out there for you to have, Brandon Bolden is going to see some high volume snap share right now with unless Ramondre Stevenson comes back from the dead, but he seems like he just got ex-nayed to the doghouse for good. They had a bunch of running backs in for tryouts yesterday, so they're looking for a replacement for James White. It's obviously not going to be anybody, and Bolden has that veteran level and interest into the coaching staff, so Bolden's another guy you could probably add, and if you're absolutely desperate, you could probably stick him into your lineup as an RB2. Makes me fucking cringe when I say that against the Bucs, because the game script's going to be passing. It's going to be in the passing game. So Bolden's the pass catching back. Harris apparently just isn't available to be on the field when there's pass work to be done. So Bolden's definitely a guy you want to have on your team if you need him. Not somebody I would use a waiver claim on or anything like that. But definitely a name to keep in mind if you're struggling to field the RB2 for week 4. That does it with that. Marlon Mack, I talked about at the beginning. Marlon Mack is definitely somebody that you could have on your team. Now, if you mean for the New England Patriots, you should get Marlon Mack, then yeah, I agree. We should get Marlon Mack. That'd be crazy. That'd be perfect. Exactly what we need. Is apparently Damien Harris isn't what the Patriots need. So, go out, get a running back. That's great. Then I can change my whole story about Brandon Bolden. But right now, Brandon Bolden is the guy you want if you need a guy to go in there for you. He's going to be the PPR back to have out of New England, unless J.J. Taylor steps up and takes it over. But I don't see that happening anytime soon, really, anytime soon. All right. And with that, I'm going to go do a little Thursday night prediction. Quick little predictions. I'm not going to be on the show tomorrow night. I only host on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So tomorrow night we get the football game, the pregame show. I believe it'll be Moose and Perks and Smirks, I believe, the 3 of them. I'm not really sure on that yet. We'll let you guys know tomorrow. But I'm going to do a little Thursday night prediction and talk about the game just a little bit so you guys can see my side of the story. So when they make bad calls tomorrow night, you guys, don't jump down all our throats, You only jump down theirs, not mine. But I'll start off with who I think the sit of the game is, and that's going to be James Robinson. I think James Robinson's going to have a terrible game. I know he just kind of had a bounce back week, getting everybody all excited, like, oh, good, my RB2 that I drafted in the 4th round is doing great. I get it, but no, sorry, pal. It's not happening. He's going to have a terrible game this week. The Bengals have not allowed one rusher in 3 weeks. I know it's early. Have not allowed one rusher in 3 weeks to break over 100 yards. The most they've allowed is 62. 62 yards, which is not good. Najee Harris kind of exploited them in the pass game last week, but that's because Big Ben's terrible and can't throw the ball downfield anymore. So I don't see James Robinson having any sort of a good game. Not much of a floor there to be had anyway. The floor is probably 10 points. So if you're looking for 10 points from your RB2, obviously you're probably going to have to start him. Like I just said, you drafted him in the 4th round. He just had a nice 25-point week. But he's definitely my sit this week, especially on a short week. I'm not a big fan of James Robinson. However, I think there'll be a big game out of one Jaguar, and that's Marvin Jones Jr. I think Marvin Jones Jr. is going to be having a great game script. Tons of balls going to be thrown his way. He is a target hog. The Bengals defense is very good, but someone's got to get on the ball. Trevor Lawrence is in love with Marvin Jones right now, especially in the red zone. So I would look at Marvin Jones as a wide receiver 2. If you're in a three receiver league, then you got yourself a nice little player there at wide receiver 3. But even in a standard or a regular roster 2 receiver flex, you can see him as a wide receiver 2 flex opportunity or play. Don't put him in your flex. Put him in the wide receiver 2. And then I think Tyler Boyd is going to have a great game. It looked very, very good this past week with T. Higgins out. Definitely saw more targets because of that. I think he's going to produce just fine for you tonight, and especially in PPR form. I'm sorry, not tonight, tomorrow in PPR formats. So definitely a guy you want to put in your lineup. Ceiling's high for every Bengals offensive player this next week. Jacksonville is going to get exploited. They had a decent game this past week against the Cardinals, I guess. They got blown out anyway, but Joe Mixon going to destroy him. I just think Joe Burrow is not going to let off. I was going to make him my start of the week before Sunday even happened, Joe Burrow, but I'm going to just not. I'll let them have that call tomorrow. But Joe Burrow is somebody I'm very, very excited to see play on Thursday. It's a matchup between the first overall pick, Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence. Very excited to see it. It should be a good game, it should be, but I don't think it will be. I think the Bengals are going to absolutely crunk them. I think they cover the 7.5 spread. Look for Joe Burrow to have quarterback 1 numbers, but I don't want to say this, but he could have the number 1 quarterback points of the week. that's a very weak Jacksonville offense. So I like Joe Burrow this week a lot. If you're a DFS player, put him as your captain. Tyler Boyd, Joe Mixon going to have a great game as well on the ground. But James Robinson's definitely my sit of the game. Definitely wouldn't want to have him out there. Jamar Chase, another guy, obviously, to start him. Start all your Bengals. All your Bengals, start them. Start them up. All right. Well, that's going to do it. Quick little half-hour show, like I said. So make sure you guys hit that like button for me. Hit the hit the share button, even though the show's ending. I got a question from Albert. Burrow over Herbert this week. That's a tough question, man. Part of me wants to say yes because of how highly I value Burrow right now. However, I just Justin Herbert has just been phenomenal, man. It has been so good, and his weapons are just working, absolutely clicking on all cylinders. Mike Williams just looks so good, man. He looks so good, and finally, 8th overall pick in the draft. You guys got to be happy now, right? As long as he can stay healthy, he'll be the steal of the draft. He's the wide receiver 2 right now overall. He will be the steal of the draft, I think, by the end of the year. So I think you got to keep rolling out Joe Burrow. I know his matchup is against the Raiders. It's not the best matchup, but it's definitely not bad enough where you would have to consider starting Burrow and taking that risk. I might say, just don't bench him. There's just no need to bench Herb. I think Herbert, is a top 3 fantasy quarterback right now. I could say that with confidence. He's not a guy you want to bench at all. Leave him in your lineup. Joe Burrow is going to have a great week, but I don't think Herbert's on that level of where you have to decide, do I start or sit him? He's always a start. He is on that level of Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson. Herbert is a must-start every week. So Joe Burrow, look to trade him to a team that needs a quarterback. I'm sure there's tons of teams out there that need a quarterback. So Herbert's definitely the start, though. Definitely the start. But, yeah, if you guys are watching and have any questions, feel free to ask. I will answer them. But if not, I'm going to wrap it up. My half hour's up. I asked my girl and her friends to be quiet while I did this, so I don't want to go too much longer. But, like I said before, make sure you guys are following us, liking our stuff, sharing our stuff, commenting on our stuff, showing us some love across all our social media platforms. We're working very hard behind the scenes to make this thing work because we really do want to do this. This is, what we love to do, right? So, Fantasy Football Dads, search us, YouTube. We go live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch now. So go follow us across the platforms for us, and stay tuned to the TikTok, because if we hit 1,000, we'll be live 12:30 to 1 o'clock on TikTok every Sunday up until kickoff to help answer your start-sit questions. But that's going to do it for tonight. I hope you guys enjoy the game tomorrow night. Enjoy the show with Moose and Smirks tomorrow night. They're going to do a great job. And hopefully Danny Perkins gets on the show as well. Again, his insight is always great to hear. But until then, you guys have a great night. Last call for questions. None. Peace it. Peace.